conspiracy. A powerful man had an affair with a fawning admirer. Then all of a sudden, she saw some other girl flirting with him, and she was all like, email, why are you flirting with my man? You better step off, because text, I stole him first. And then the other girl is all, I'm going to call my friend who works at the FBI, because you're scaring the out of me.
Most respected military men of this generation. CIA Director and retired four-star General David Petraeus stepped down Friday after admitting to an extramarital affair.
Where are you going to find credible people to speak to this type of situation?
What is the political fallout from all this? Newt Gingrich is a former Republican presidential candidate and Speaker of the House.
Hey, we gotta get the highest level of government banging a mistress. Get me Gingrich.
There's something else that bothers people. You were leading the charge to push Bill Clinton from office for lying about an affair, and yes, he lied in a court proceeding, in a deposition, where he had sworn to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But at the very same time that you were leading that charge, you were having an affair. Isn't that hypocrisy?
No. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
The statement that there was no sex of any kind, in any manner, shape, or form with President Clinton was an utterly false statement. Is that correct?
It depends upon what the meaning of the word is. Yes.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part for which I am solely and completely responsible.
What is the relationship between hypocrisy and power? How can some of our most intelligent leaders succumb to idiotic decision-making? What drove General Petraeus, a man of such integrity and military genius, to fall for his own biographer and destroy his rising career? How could President Clinton, leader of the free world, have sex with his intern and then Newt Gingrich impeach him as he was cheating on his own wife? Using these two recent examples as case studies, the purpose of this video is to analyze the theories of how this occurs in powerful and intelligent individuals. Despite all the theories and statistical data, the reality is we have no conclusive answer for why our leaders have tendencies to act extremely irrationally. What this video will do, however, is take a closer look at one of these theories and attempt to discover what kind of reality people with power operate with, and how their delusions ultimately lead to their downfall. But first, we must answer one basic question. How bad is hypocrisy? Judith Schuyler's Ordinary Vices explains that cruelty is the worst possible vice, with the others being significantly less evil. She gives the vice of hypocrisy special attention in her book for two reasons. The first, it's very easy to take a dislike to it. As a species, we hate the idea of our actions and words not lining up. And two, if one does dislike it, it is a vice that is easy to be found in our society. Thus, Schuyler asks her readers not to spend too much time obsessing over hypocrisy. In other words, it's a fundamental part of human life. She warns that our society needs to focus on the true forms of hypocrisy that can truly damage democracy, rather than silly negative political ads that bombard us near Election Day. Negative ads work because they work on us as individuals. They avoid the true issues and turn the campaign into a fight about one's character, not about the issues. Perhaps we need a new paradigm to analyze hypocrisy, and I propose that there are big H and little h hypocrisies. The big H is what society must counter with scorn, rather than the petty little h scandals, the kind that have sent our politics into a tailspin. Schuyler does not draw the line between hypocrisy she sees as intolerable and the ones she sees as unavoidable. The big H and little h paradigm seeks to fix that problem. Big H hypocrisy comes into play for a powerful leader who actively speaks out against an idea, action, religion, etc., while doing it at the same time. Gingrich's affair during Clinton's impeachment is a great example. Big H's are deadly because they can directly impact other people's lives. However, to go a step further and see if there are references to these so-called Big H hypocrites, one must turn to Hobbes and the Leviathan. Hobbes believes it is appropriate for the sovereign or state to be hypocritical for the common good. However, the biggest form of hypocrisy is hypocrisy about the basic principles of political life itself, as he puts it. In other words, Hobbes appears to hate hypocrisy that threatens to destroy the fundamentals of the state. The kind of scandals that can bring down nations. A patriot who is really a traitor. A man of the people who is really a dictator in waiting. Little h hypocrisy covers the vices that Schuyler mentioned before, the ones none of us can avoid. Many times when an individual or a politician is hypocritical, the hypocrisy doesn't destroy a state, a city, or a family. It's simply being human. Perhaps the most dangerous hypocrisy of all is to believe that politics can be devoid of all hypocrisy. With hypocrisy better defined, we can come to understand its relationship with power. Why did powerful men like Gingrich, Clinton, and Petraeus engage in sexual scandals that tremendously harm their professional and personal lives? Here are a few theories. She was hot. The stress of public life made them do it, as Gingrich once suggested. That the most self-controlled individuals are more likely to make terrible decisions because they are rarely placed in tempting situations, such as General Petraeus. Or perhaps because each of these men held positions of power that were legitimate. For the second half of the video, we will focus on this last theory. Before we analyze an academic study on the topic, it is important that we clearly define legitimate power. Ronald Helmsford's Leadership Without Easy Answers states that leadership or power can be divided into two spheres, the formal and informal. Formal power brings with it influence that comes with the position itself. As a result, the theory we are about to analyze states that such legitimate power is more likely to fall prey to hypocrisy. Informal power, or illegitimate power on the other hand, does not rely on the position to influence things. They simply create their own authority. However, this is a double-edged sword. On one hand, they have more flexibility to get things done. But on the other, without a formal position, it can be easy to ignore them. In a paper published in Psychological Science, Lammers, Staple, and Galansky conducted 5 studies analyzing the relationship between the powerful and powerless and its effect on how strict individuals were on judging others and themselves. Unsurprisingly, the first 4 studies showcased exactly what we would expect. The people who were powerful were harsh towards the powerless, while at the same time they broke the very morals they were preaching. However, in the final study, the researchers noticed a connection between power and hypocrisy, legitimacy. On one end of the spectrum, powerful people who are perceived to hold illegitimate positions were not hypocritical. According to the study, they were stricter on themselves and less strict on others. Those who were legitimate leaders were exactly the opposite and corresponded with the results of studies 1 through 4. They were completely hypocritical. If your position of power is perceived as legitimate, an individual can begin to develop a sense of entitlement. It is entitlement due to legitimate power that potentially inspires hypocrisy according to this theory. This destroys the common notion that we have about hypocrisy and power. It may not be such a simple equation after all. Power in of itself does not bring about hypocrisy. When one is so entitled that they have not made their own coffee in years, or haven't scheduled their own meetings, or have legions of individuals ready to assist them in any situation, they can become warped. Power can be compared to an incurable virus with no means of quarantine, but it's only the vessel for the greater danger, entitlement. It doesn't matter if they are a noble 4-star general, an intelligent historian turned politician, or a promising Rhodes Scholar from Georgetown turned president. Anyone can be susceptible to entitlement, to the idea that the rules don't apply to them, to the idea that they and they alone can legislate for themselves. The results of this study can seem quite scary for our democracy. Our system of government operates on the ideal of entitlement and office. Senators are entitled to more than a member of the House of Representatives, for instance. Because our founders feared the idea of an informal leader creating a dictatorship, they put in place a system that may prevent unlimited power, but was also perfect for hypocrisy. When infused with the rise of the 24/7 news cycle and the explosion of social media, Hypocrisy is easier to find and easier to utilize as a political weapon. Given what has been stated in this video, how can we move forward? Preventing hypocrisy is impossible, but changing the way society views it is not. The general public must come to embrace a new understanding of hypocrisy and power, one that finds the right mixture between tolerating simple little h hypocrisy, so that our leaders have room to suggest new policy, while being intolerant of big H hypocrisy, the kind that easily gets away from the public's attention but can have tremendous consequences for our society.